Welcome back to the Broto Fantasy Football Podcast presented by BrotoFantasy.com. I'm your host, Tim PETROP, with my brothers, the only two twins that give you double that fantasy goodness, Michael and Jason PETROP. We are pulling back the steel curtain to expose the fantasy attributes.
Big Ben. I'm pointing at Big Ben.
That's right. Of the Steelers. Welcome back. I'm your host, Tim PETROP, with my brother, Michael Petropoulos, and my brother, Jason Petropoulos. We are the Broto Fantasy Football Podcast, and we are going to be looking at the Steelers in our special Summer Heat Wave edition. One team per day, every single day in August, and one day in July.
Carpe diem.
So we're going to start with the offensive outlook, as we always do. The offensive outlook takes a look at the coaching staff, any changes and what we can expect from the offense. The head coach of the Steelers has been the same for, it seems like, 297 years.
Who's that?
Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
But the offensive
He just
coordinator...
got an extension as well. Another year.
And but the offensive coordinator is brand new. He's the second-year OC. In his first season after an in-house promotion, Big Ben led the league in pass attempts, pass completions, passing yards. All these were also career highs, and they were tied for first in the NFL with Green Bay for highest percentage of passing plays. So
Mike Munchak is gone as well.
Yes.
Which hurts a bit.
So it's a brand spanking new system, a brand spanking new Steelers team. So let's get it started right away with the quarterback. Big Ben had his best fantasy season last year. Statistically, had one of his best seasons overall. With that being said, he is being drafted in around the 11th round right now. Is Big Ben a good value, and do you believe in him without Antonio Brown? Because if you take a look, and shout out to the fantasy footballers for this, if you take a look at Big Ben's numbers compared to Derek Carr's numbers, pre-AB, both of them, they're kind of similar. Now, I should let you know about this. 10 years ago, different type of league, so take that with a grain of salt.
And different Big Ben.
And a different Big Ben. Yeah, so, Michael, what do you say?
Look, Big Ben threw for 5,000 yards last season on a ridiculous 675 attempts.
That's
you can't expect that again. So you can't expect him to end as QB3 again. But nobody is drafting him as a QB3 again. He's being completely discounted back to where you would expect Big Ben to be, so there's no risk in drafting Big Ben.
Agreed.
If you draft him expecting him to put up 5,000 and 675 attempts, probably not going to happen, but you're drafting him at basically his floor, because people are that far off Big Ben now after last season's explosion. And there's no reason to think that the Steelers' offense still isn't going to be a pass-heavy offense. And they're still not going to be in games where they're going to need to pass. And they're still not going to have weapons to throw to. Connor was effective out of the backfield. Juju's an absolute monster. Washington and Moncrief on the outside now. Vance Refrigeration should take a step up. He still has a bunch of weapons. No more Mike Munchak, so if the running game is slow, they're going to have to pass again. I mean, you're drafting Big Ben at such a discount that you're basically getting quarterback one for free.
One question, though. Anomaly last year or a pattern that will continue to grow?
The home road splits?
Yes. That Big Ben was actually good on the road last year.
Because in his
that was random.
Yeah, in his career, much better at home and on the road.
So then you get another quarterback for his road games.
That's what I'm saying.
Either way. If you get like a Jimmy G.
Yeah, who did you mention that was the best on the road? That was better on Mahomes.
Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. Pat Mahomes. You got to be great
really
to be better on the road.
I'll take a look now. Who else was good on the road?
While you do that, let's move on a little bit. You guys mentioned a little bit of the wide receiver weapons. Let's go to the wide receivers. I'm going to let Michael take over on Juju. I'm not even going to say anything. Juju Smith-Schuster. Michael, take it away.
I've talked about Juju probably on every podcast already.
I think it's been every single one.
He's going to go 100, 1,610 easily this season, all right? So sign me up for Juju. Yes, easily. Dude, he's a beast. No denying that. The things he's done in his first 2 seasons, and he's only 23 years old, is literally historic. Like, he's on a Hall of Fame route. Very simple as that. And people are saying, oh, Juju's a slot receiver. So 10 touchdowns, that's too much. We've gotten that a few times. He was second in the league with 16 red zone receptions last season. The Steelers know what they're doing. The Steelers know what type of weapon they have. The Steelers no longer have Antonio Brown. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to go absolutely insane this season.
Do you think that there is a situation where...
No.
You know what I'm going to ask?
Where he doesn't live up to the hype?
No, that
Oh.
look, you said he was targeted 16 times in the red zone. That's probably because Antonio Brown was being doubled in the red zone the whole time. So is there a situation where the attention that Antonio Brown was getting actually falls on Juju's shoulders and Juju struggles a bit?
For sure, that could happen. There's always some growing pains a bit trying to take over the number one spot, but I think Juju's certainly up for the task.
Now, Juju has played in the slot 55% of the time last year, so definitely a slot receiver. So it looks like there's some wide receiver spots that are open on the outside. A couple of guys that could take this spot. Donte Moncrief, 21 career touchdowns, so he's one of those guys that could take some red zone targets away from Juju. Another guy, Justin Washington, second-round pick of the Steelers. James Washington, excuse me. Shout out to Justin Washington, one of our good fans and friends. So, second round pick, the Steelers always draft well, especially at wide receiver. Won the Biletnikoff Award for best wide receiver in the nation in 2007 at Oklahoma State. He was a non-factor last season, sure, but this is kind of what the Steelers do. They draft a guy, they develop him for a year, they get rid of the guy in front of him, and then they say, here, take over.
Well, then why'd they get Deontay Johnson?
Or Donte Moncrief.
I mean, you need to fill out the rest of the roster.
Moncrief is a very good value. He's
Yeah.
only 25 years old. He's a guy, you hear him, you think old. He's 25. He just had some injury woes. But we've seen him do it before. He had 10 touchdowns in a season that was cut short by injury when he was with Andrew Luck. He's opening camp as the starter over Washington. All reports have been good about him. I like Moncrief.
I don't care what anyone says. I shot up the ADP for Donte Moncrief. Like 2 months ago, I said Donte Moncrief is a huge steal, and then his draft stock has gone up like 4 rounds since then. So now his draft capital is interesting. But look, he's 25 years old. He's gonna be 26 once the season starts. Like Jason said, he's shown flashes. James Washington too. He's not super fast. He didn't test very well. Yes, he had some amazing college production. Guess how tall James Washington is?
6 foot.
He's 5'11". People are acting like he's like this huge receiver too. He's not.
But on Tinder, I'm 6 foot.
He's not this huge, like, big-bodied receiver, and he's also not this super fast receiver. They also drafted Deontay Johnson, who I don't think really has a big impact as a rookie unless maybe the second half he takes over, kind of like Juju did his rookie season. So in the first half, I don't think he's worth drafting right away in shallow leagues. No. And James Washington is just, he didn't do anything really even good last season. I'd prefer to take the shot on Moncrief.
I think people are sleeping on James Washington. I think he's being severely slept on.
I mean, at his ADP, I can see why you take the shot. It's not like he's being overdrafted or anything. I just prefer to wait 2 rounds and take Moncrief.
Yeah. I mean, with right now we're listening to this and we think Moncrief is the superior talent, so that's why we're going with him. But you need to monitor how these guys play throughout the preseason, because if one of them takes the job over the other one, that is all of a sudden, because let's say James Washington does beat him out. All of a sudden, you guys are looking at James Washington a whole lot.
Moncrief did start in the first couple of days of training camp.
I don't see Moncrief losing his job. He's always been good. It's just health. That's the issue.
I'm a big fan of Moncrief. I think he's going to be good too. Ryan Switzer probably isn't in the fantasy mix.
No.
So let's move over to running back. James Conner. You know what? I'm going to let Jason take this one over because Jason's been on the Conner train for the longest.
James Conner, the motherfucking workhorse.
Yo, yesterday, no lie. Earlier this morning, we are in another one of these professional leagues called the Raz Bowl. Shout out to the Raz Bowl. And and Jason said, "Man, I got the what pick do you have? The 8th?
5.
The 5." He said, "I might reach for James Conner at 5." So that shows you how high Jason is on James Conner. So tell people why.
There's no reason not to be. That's why. Through last year, he was second in the league in broken tackles. He played 13 games. Those first 13 games, he was first in the league in broken tackles. People are talking about how they took Benny Snell. Guess what? He's just depth.
Yeah. So
you need backup running backs. People always assume that when teams draft running backs, it's because they want them to replace the guy. No. It's because Conner was hurt last year. And Jalen Samuels isn't a real running back.
1 second before you go on. Another thing that people have to be aware of, and we're here to look out for you on Broto Fantasy. Yo, when you're talking about a running back and running back draft capital, all of a sudden people are like, oh, they spent a 4th round pick on him. He's definitely going to play. Still a 4th round pick, man. Still a 4th round pick.
Yes. I would say 3rd round is the cutoff for running backs. If it's a 3rd round pick or more, then you take note. But so I don't even think Benny Snell is good. Jalen Samuels isn't a real running back. That's why they brought in Snell. They talk about how the Steelers brought in Jalen Samuels, college coach. All right, fine. Samuels was stuck behind Nyheim Hines in college. So
And he wasn't used as a running back in college. He was mostly used as a tight end.
Exactly. So what do we have with James Conner? We have one of the highest rated PFF running backs. We have a guy who's had 1,500 scrimmage yards and 13 touchdowns in 13 games. We have a guy who was better than Le'Veon Bell in the first half of last year because he wore off a bit. First half of last year, he was better than Le'Veon Bell ever was with the Steelers. The thing is, he probably wasn't used to the conditioning. If you see him now, he's a beast. People always look at combine numbers. He's a beast now if you look at him. He's a completely different person.
Yeah, he was going through cancer back in the day when that was happening.
And he's just
Shout
a
out
beast
to
in
him.
general.
And just real quick, Rashard Mendenhall, 1,350 yards and 8 touchdowns back-to-back years. So it's a Steelers running back. It's easy. Rashard Mendenhall sucked. James Conner is nice. Just draft James Conner.
Let's go over to tight end. Vance Refrigeration.
That's refrigeration, baby. We got Timmy to say it. Timmy
The
just
Office
started
now.
watching The Office.
I did.
Woo! Yes.
Steelers have the highest number of passes vacated by any team in the league this year. I think Vance benefits from that greatly. No more Jesse James. Ended as a tight end 11. What do you guys think about Vance McDonald?
Draft him. If you're waiting on tight ends, draft him. He went, last year he went 604.
Big upside.
I could easily see him going at least 805 with all the vacated targets.
Last year, McDonald and James combined for 80, 1,033, and 6.
And our one injury away player, I'm going with Jalen Samuel. I think he gets the shot if there's no James Conner.
I agree with Samuels. I think he's a better play than Snell.
I'm going Deontay Johnson.
Interesting. You could find us, all of us, continuing. Michael, you can find that at Michael_Petrop.
Mike_Petrop.
At Mike_Petrop.
Jason Petrop.
I'm going to get it right one day. Jason Petrop and at Tim Petrop on all social media outlets. Don't forget, BrotoFantasy.com. At BrotoFantasy on all social media outlets. Patreon.com/BrotoFantasy. The next time we come at you with the Ravens. We can't wait. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.
Later.